in a roadway. A big surprise, I'm gonna rise and flash my tooth cane. All the buff dudes, safe on the beach food. They're gonna need a bigger boat and barrels real soon. I'm a sea king, a CGI thing. I'm here to eat and bare my teeth and shake a tail fin. I'm lonely and taking a ride. Lured in by the bucket and shove. It's one weakness I can't hide. Take me to your bucket and shove.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Bucket of Chum, the Shark Movie Podcast. As always, I am your host, Steve Coates. This week, I am talking about Jaws 3D. Well, I didn't watch it in 3D. I just watched it in regular 2D. But as we all know, this movie was fucking 3D when it came out. It's the 40th anniversary this year, so I really wanted to talk about this movie. I mean, I haven't done a Jaws movie yet, right? So I had to. I really had to do a Jaws movie. Thinking back about this movie, it may be the first Jaws movie I saw. I don't know if I saw this one first or if I saw Jaws first. But I definitely saw this one before Jaws 2. Because when I was growing up in a small town, we had a video store. And they had Jaws and Jaws 3... And I don't remember if they had the fourth one or not, but they only had those two. They didn't have Jaws 2. So I was only able to watch Jaws 3. And that may have been the only one they had. So I may have actually just seen Jaws 3 first before I even fucking saw Jaws. This movie is kind of important to me just in that aspect. I mean, it's definitely one of the earliest fucking shark movies I've ever watched. So yeah, as I said, it's the 40th anniversary this year. So I said, fuck it, let's do Jaws 3. So at the end, I'm going to do a little bit of trivia about the movie. Before that, I mean, let's do what we always do, and let's dive into this story. So it opens up the same way pretty much any Jaws movies open. We're underwater. We're like a POV of the shark. And then the shark bites a fish in half, and we get the floating head coming in front of the screen. The first of what is to be many terrible 3D shots. But yeah, we'll get more into that later. But yeah, a lot of the shots for the 3D, I'm sure most of you listening have fucking seen this movie before. If you haven't, stop what you're doing, go put on Jaws 3, watch it, and then come back. I'll wait for you. Hey, welcome back. All right, cool. How was it fucking awesome? Did you see how terrible the 3D shots were? Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, as a kid seeing this, even though I couldn't see it in 3D, I just thought it was the coolest fucking thing ever. So I was like, oh yeah, this is a fucking awesome way to start off a movie. And then we get our shark attack tease when a bunch of water skiers go down in the water. It's also our first time seeing Lea Thompson. This is her very first feature film performance, who would later go on to be in movies like Back to the Future. So, yeah, it was great seeing her. So, they're trying to start the boat up. The shark's getting closer, but the boat starts up again, and they're off. And then we go to a meeting for new employees. There's a woman there, like, kind of giving them an orientation. And then she's telling them that their shorts are short enough, and if they show any cheek, they'll be back shoveling french fries. And then they recite, like, their welcome speech or whatever. And then we see a man with a bunch of reporters, and I don't know if this is, like, Calvin's assistant or publicist or whatever, but anyways, he's showing off a model of the underwater complex that they have in this movie, the Underwater Kingdom, I think it's called. And then we see Calvin Bouchard, played by Lou Gossett Jr., just looking at the ocean through binoculars as he can hear all this media stuff going on in the background. And then we have a crew who's trying to shut a gate to SeaWorld, and it gets stuck. I thought, first watching this, presumably because the shark has blocked it, but I think that might happen later when the guy's actually killed when he's trying to close this gate. So I think maybe the gate was just kind of shoddy in the first place. That's what I'm going to go with right now. But anyways, we go back to the guy with the model. We can actually hear him say something to the reporters about not asking questions about Mike Brody's colorful past. This was actually the first time I noticed this. Out of all the times I've seen this movie, this was the only time I realized that they actually made reference to the first two Jaws movies. I mean, other than the fact they talk about, like, Sean having a fear of water because of the incidents when they were kids. But, yeah, from, like, a third party, like, characters who weren't in the first two, them talking about it. It was the first time I noticed that. So Calvin comes in as they're asking these questions. It says, hey, weren't the water skiers great? Like, trying to deter them from talking about, like, sharks or anything shark-related, obviously. And then he announces that Philip Fitzroyce is coming, this douchey photographer dude. Mike tells his crew to get the gate fixed. It's been knocked off the racks. Then Mike jet skis over to where his girlfriend Catherine is, and she's training Shamu, the whale from SeaWorld. I'm not even gonna get into that. That's not what this episode's about. Training or torturing, I guess, because she's riding the whale's back, and like its fin is drooped over. Nope. Not gonna get into it. So Mike and Kathy make dinner plans. They talk about how his brother Sean is coming into town, and Kathy feeds Shamu, and but Shamu spares her, doesn't attack her. No, it's not what this is about. Then Kathy's associate comes up from behind them and tells Kathy that the two dolphins that we see throughout the movie, Cindy and Sandy, they won't go into the lagoon, so she tells them just to lock the gates. Presumably not going into the lagoon because there's a giant fucking shark out there. Or two sharks, I guess. Calvin is showing a news crew the underground kingdom, like they're kind of at the entrance, and then he's leading them all in. At that point in time, Sean arrives, meets with Mike and Kathy, and then we cut to a diver at dusk, going into the water to fix the gate. So he dives in, he's wrapping a chain around it and locking it. He keeps getting spooked, but like there's nothing there until there is. Then we just see like a bunch of blood and crunching, and then we see his arm floating towards the screen. I really feel like they... I don't want to say they overdid the 3D, but they sort of overdid the 3D. And I know that this was because of, like, studio interference, but, like, not every attack has to be 3D. But I guess 1983, when you advertise a 3D movie, people are going to expect a certain amount of 3D. So I guess I get that, but I don't know. Just with every fucking shot, it's a terrible 3D shot coming towards the fucking camera, but I don't know, whatever. Above the water, we can see the gate rocking back and forth until it finally opens, so Jaws the Third has now made it into the park. Jaws the Third or Jaws the Fourth, I don't know, because there's two sharks in this movie, so I don't know which one it's supposed to be. I'm assuming it's supposed to be the big one. That's what I'm going to go with. It's the big one breaking into the park now. Mike, Sean, and Kathy are at a bar having a few drinks. The server asks Mike if she knows where her boyfriend is. He works for Mike, and I'm pretty sure it's the dude who just died trying to fix the gate. He was like, oh, he shouldn't be working, or blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Doesn't matter. And then Sean goes off and plays this game called Standoff, where it's basically two people put their palms together and then try to knock each other down, like knock each other off balance or something. This is the only... I don't know if it's an American thing. I don't know if it's an 80s thing. I don't know if it's an 80s American thing. This is the only instance in any movie or anything that I have ever seen this game referenced. I'm not saying it's not real, but I'm just saying, like, I've never seen this anywhere else before, other than this fucking movie. So, Sean plays the game with Lee Thompson, a.k.a. Kelly, and he wins by distracting her. He's like, oh, yeah, my crotch is open. And so she looks down, and then he pushes her over. But he is such a gentleman, and he brings her over to the table for drinks. Sean and Kelly flirt like crazy at the fucking table, like just googly eyes galore. And then we cut to two guys dressed in black. They're getting an inflatable raft out of a van. These two bumbling idiots make their way down to the fucking water. And, like, basically their plan is to steal, like, coral or something and then sell it. Yeah, so their plan is to break into SeaWorld and steal some coral to sell it. I guess there's a black market for coral. Not surprising, actually, come to think of it. Yeah, I'm not even that surprised by it. That tracks. So the gang finishes up at the bar, and then Mike and Kathy go walking down to the beach. Sean gets in Kelly's car. Kelly asks him if he wants to go swimming, and he says, I don't really swim in the ocean. And she says, okay, the lagoon then. Like, the lagoon still goes out to the ocean, is from what I understand. So, like, it's still the ocean, but whatever. I'm being fucking nitpicky at this point. Kathy and Mike are walking down the beach, and then she asks, like, why Sean doesn't visit more often, and then Mike says it's because of the sharks, the shark attacks when they were kids. And, like, this conversation is clearly for the audience, because there's no way this hasn't fucking come up before. Like, absolutely not. You cannot tell me that after dealing with those 2 shark attacks when they were kids that this has not come up before. There's no fucking way. Kathy then guesses Mike got a job offer for some job in Venezuela for a year and a half, and then he says he wants her to go with him, but like she has her job, like she's got like 6 months left on her job, and then there's the possibility of a new job opening up. So then they're like, oh, I'm so happy for you, but and then, you know, they're like, oh, reality? Yeah, reality. Oh no, it's so sad. No one cares. Oh, fuck. Now I can see why fucking Dennis Quaid was on fucking coke for most of this movie. Jesus. Sean and Kelly are on the beach, chasing each other around. Kelly's basically stripping down into her bikini, and then she basically seduces Sean into going into the water. I mean, yeah, what can I say? The power of pussy. It makes us do stupid things or shit we don't want to do, or stuff we should be doing, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, she gets him to go into the fucking water, which is huge because, like, as has been mentioned, the fucking shark attacks terrified him of the ocean, so the fact that he's in the water is pretty fucking huge. So we go back with the thieves, and they're finally where they need to be on the water. One guy dives down, and we can hear Kelly's laugh, I think, so, like, they're not like super close to them, but like they're close enough, like they're within an earshot, I guess. So the diver goes under and he searches underwater with his flashlight. We get like a 3D close-up of some coral and like a shrimp or something on it. Like this is what they wanted to use the 3D for. Like, I feel like this was one of the shots that, well, one of two things. This was either already originally planned in the movie as just like something simple without going too crazy, or they added this in because the studio was like, yeah, we need more 3D. I don't care what it is. Give me the 3D. And then they come up with like, yeah, shrimp and coral coming out my face. That's what I want to fucking see. And then we cut to Mike and Kathy are driving home, and then they spot Kelly's car. So they pull over. They run out of the car. They have like a megaphone in their hand. And then they're hiding behind a tree, and then Mike sees Sean in the water, and he says, I can't believe she got him in the water. Kathy says something about, like, never underestimate woman. Well, what I just said earlier, for pussy. It's amazing what men will do for pussy. It's incredible. Not that I would know anything about that. I'm a good boy. They get closer. They start pretending like they're security and telling them to get out of the water. And one of them, like Kelly's like, oh, no, it's okay. I work here. And Sean's like, oh, my brother works here. And then Kathy grabs the megaphone from Mike and asks them if they have any ID. She's like, oh, do you have any ID, you turkeys? And then Sean realizes who it is. And then there's just a big sigh of relief. And, oh, everybody's happy now. But meanwhile, not too far away, back with the thieves, there's one guy on the boat. He's looking down, and he sees the flashlight from the diver, and then it goes dark. This shot was really fucking cool to me, and it freaked me out as a kid. Just because it's at nighttime, like, and you can just see a bit of the flashlight, and then it just kind of disappears, and you don't know what happened. Yeah, that part always freaked me out as a kid, so this shot always stands out as, like, kind of one of my favorites. The guy on the boat is pulled under because he's holding on to the guide rope for the diver. And then back over with the gang, they're all playing, like, fucking grab ass in the water, so, like, they don't hear any of this shit going down. So, yeah, the diver's pulled into the water, the boat is deflated, so, yeah, they're fucking dead. And actually, come to think of it, I'm not even entirely sure if we ever see their bodies again, or... Yeah, because most time in a Jaws movie, like, when somebody's attacked, like, we see their bodies, or we hear it mentioned earlier, but I kind of feel like these two aren't mentioned again, or maybe it's something so brief that it doesn't matter, and I missed it. The next morning, Sean is sitting at a table, drinking coffee. He looks fucking hungover as shit. Kathy and Mike are getting coffee and feeding their adorable dog. It looks like a fucking baby basset hound. They're like holding its ears up while it's trying to eat. So fucking cute. It's the only time we really see this dog. I wonder what happens with this dog when they're at work. What do they do with it? Oh, man. Thinking too much about the dogs again. Kathy leaves to go to work, and Mike and Sean just kind of chat at the table, just shoot the shit. Doesn't matter. Mike gets a phone call, and it's Calvin asking about the gate, and yeah, this is the gate that was supposed to be fixed, but then the dude got eaten by a shark, so he didn't really get to fucking fix it properly. Can't really blame him. At SeaWorld, Kathy is training the two dolphins, and then behind her, Philip Fitzroyce makes a snarky comment about the dolphins' performance, and then Philip says he wants to talk to someone with authority, And Kathy says, well, I'm the senior biologist. And then Kathy talks about how they've met before, and she tells a story that he told at the time where he rammed a Japanese whaler, and he says, oh, well, it ruined my shot and got in my way. So, I mean, kind of a baller move, I guess. He's kind of a douchebag, but he's also, like, kind of helpful in this movie. He kind of, like, rides that line a little bit, this Philip Fitzroyce. I feel like if they wanted him to be a bigger asshole, they could have done a better job, but I don't know, it's fine. Philip asks Kathy to dinner, and she says that's an activity she doesn't do. Okay. Mike is doing some work when the server from last night throws, like, a bunch of clothes and shit at him, and says something about, like, if Shelby doesn't come back home, then he could stay out. Mike says, like, well, he didn't show up to work either. Like, if he didn't show home, like, maybe something's wrong. Or then, like, Kathy walks over and asks what's wrong. They speculate he's probably passed out drunk somewhere, so they tell her, we'll go look for him. And so they start to walk away, and then Kathy and Mike walk off, and Mike whispers to Kathy, I'm gonna go check the lagoon. So yeah, they already suspect that something terrible has happened to him, but they kind of think that, like, he probably got drunk and did something stupid. Not that he was attacked by a ginormous shark. And as they're walking away, the waitress yells, I'm mad at him, but I don't mean him no harm, you hear? I don't mean him no harm. So she's so fucking pissed at this guy, but then, like, she doesn't want him to, like, be hurt or anything. But, like, why wouldn't you, like, kind of ask this first? Like, oh, okay, he didn't come home. Like, is he hurt? Well, I guess maybe he has a history of, like, not coming home and being drunk and a douchebag. Yeah, alright, I can see where she's coming from. Never mind. So then we see Mike and Kathy are suited in scuba gear, and they get into a submersible to check the lagoon for Shelby. And then we get some awful 3D effect shots here of the fucking sub underwater. It's just a disaster. I'm not going to go too much into the 3D effects in this episode. There might be an episode coming later on where I'm going to talk about the 3D effects of Jaws 3, so I'm not going to get too much into it here, other than a lot of it looks like fucking garbage. But there's reasons why. Mike talks about Shelby breaking the rules by diving alone, and like, which I didn't even fucking think about. Like, that's such a good point. Like, he was diving alone trying to fix this gate. So for one, like, where did all of his fucking coworkers go when he was doing this? Like, should not one of them stepped up and said, like, hey, don't dive alone, that's stupid? No, they all apparently just fucking left, went home, and made him do it. Like, fucking assholes, man. And then Mike and Kathy start talking about, like, where he could have ended up. And then we get a dead body fake out, but it's just a skeleton they put down there for this fake Spanish galleon they have called Oscar. He's like waving. So yeah, they decide to check out the sunken Spanish galleon. The dolphins keep trying to get in their way, like, clearly trying to warn them that, like, hey, there's a fucking shark in here. Get the fuck out. Dolphins are so intelligent, and I hear so many stories of this. Like, if I'm ever in the ocean, and granted, I don't live near the ocean, nor do I go swimming in the ocean a lot, but if I see dolphins warning me or, like, pushing me away from something, I'm gonna fucking listen. I'm just saying. So then as they're swimming and searching around the galleon, they finally spot the fucking shark, and the dolphins come in and save the day by giving them a ride back to the dock. So, like, they literally grab onto the dolphins' fins, and they basically drag them back to the fucking dock. They get back up on the dock. They immediately yell for the gate to be closed. One of the workers closes the gate, and the shark rams into it. Calvin is informed of the shark, and he takes Fitzroyce and his helper, Jack, to see Kathy and Mike on the docks. Catherine tells Calvin it's a great white, about 10 feet long. They show Calvin where it rammed into the gate, and it's all, like, fucking dented. And then Fitzroyce proposes they kill the shark on camera for some publicity. Kathy chimes in and says no, like, and suggests, like, they capture the shark and keep it for captivity. Or, like, if it's in your fucking park, capture it, get it out of your fucking park, and then move on with your life. Like, what are you doing? Oh my god. Idiots. Even at this point, like, no great whites have been held in captivity because they fucking die, which, spoiler alert, is what happens in this movie. It's such a simple solution to just get the shark, put it back in the ocean, like just get it out of the park, and that's it. That's all they had to do. No. So you know what? This is all fucking Kathy's fault. Kathy, you fucking killed everybody in this park. God damn it. No, it's not Kathy's fault. There's a giant fucking shark in here too, and apparently they're just super, super aggressive, and I want to kill the Brodies for some reason. Although they're not psychic in this movie yet, but I mean, come on. Third time? Something's up. Mike objects, obviously, because of his past experiences with great white sharks. Fitzroy tells Calvin, like, they die magnificently on camera, which, douche, like, come on. Kathy then says, you know, they can make a lot of money because they can get a lot of publicity because, like, okay, you kill the shark, boom, it's done, it's over. But if you capture the shark, then, like, you can, you know, do progress updates and blah, 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 blah. So, like, yeah, basically, they're gonna capture this fucking thing. And they will be the first people to have a great white in captivity. Fuck you, SeaWorld, get bent. So they get ready at night. Fitzroy's, Jack, and Kathy are all going into the water, so they're going to capture it. Fitzroy's puts on some grenades on his belt. I thought he said something about getting them from England, but, like, how the fuck did he get them in the country? Like, how does he travel with grenades? I mean, I know it's 1983 America, but, like, was he really able to just come into the country with, like, fucking homemade grenades on him? That's concerning. That is fucking concerning as shit. God damn it. So, yeah, like, they all object to him, like, having these fucking grenades, and then Calvin finally chimes in and says, no grenades. They get on a boat into the lagoon and dive in. The three divers go in and they wait for the shark. They're searching around, and the shark comes up from behind Kathy and grabs her tanks and shakes her around. This was actually another moment that I actually found to be, like, a little bit scary as a kid, because we get a decent shot of, like, a practical shark, so that was pretty good. But, like, somehow all three of them missed this shark coming in. Like, three of them doing, like, a 360 check, and not one of them saw it. Like, they had lights shining down from the boat into the water so they can fucking see, like, and not one of them saw it. Useless. Absolutely useless. Kathy gets loose. She goes to the surface and tells Mike to shoot it. So he's there with a spear gun, I guess. He shoots it in the fin, and then, you know, of course, the fucking arrow is a 3D shot coming towards the camera, because of course it is. Well, very much like Friday the 13th Part 3. So yeah, he shoots this shark in the fin with a buoy attached, and then Kathy manages to stab it with a dart and knocks it out. Calvin asks, like, how the footage is, and then Mike responds with, everyone's fine, I'm okay, Kathy's okay. Like, he goes by everybody's name, like, one by one. And then, like, fucking Calvin asks, but is the footage okay? And then Fitzroy assures him it's good. And then Calvin asks if everyone's okay, and he's like, it looked pretty dangerous from down here, or up here, or whatever. And then they all laugh and are like, yeah, it sure was. And then Mike's like, yeah, it looked dangerous from down here, too. Idiots. He doesn't give a shit about his employees. Motherfucker, if I worked for this guy, I would be done already. Like, he does not give a shit about anybody's safety. Like, fuck you. So now they've got the shark inside. They lower the shark into a tank. Kathy and her assistant Liz start moving the shark around the pool. And then they go up to they put, like, some tube in its mouth or some hose to get, like, water or oxygen running through it or something. Mike comes in, decides to jump in the pool and help Kathy out. After a while, the shark starts, like, thrashing around and then swimming on its own. I'm not sure what they used for this. I'm guessing they used a practical shark. Like, I don't think it was a real shark or anything like that, but I'm not entirely sure. Maybe when I do more research for another episode, I'll find more of that out. Yeah, so the shark is swimming on its own. Kathy tells everyone, like, no medications, no food. This is the first great white in captivity that's been kept alive, so, like, let's keep it that way. I mean, I appreciate that she's at least trying to keep the fucking thing alive, but, again, put it back. Put it back in the ocean where you found it. Just leave it. Like, fuck. It's opening day. Mike and someone else are discussing where else Shelby's body could be, and Calvin walks over, and they talk about the fucking filtration pipes because they're super important later on in this movie, and I think this is probably like the second or third time they've mentioned these pipes. So yeah, these pipes are going to come into play at some point, in case you haven't fucking figured that out yet. And then Calvin's assistant, or whoever, the guy who I think may be the publicist or something, he comes over and tells Calvin about the ticket sales, and like they're better than they anticipated. And then Calvin asks like where the shark is, and he tells him like it's still in the tank, it's not ready for display yet. And then Calvin says, do it anyways. Like, fuckface. Fuck you. Like, it's not ready. It's opening day. Like, wouldn't you want to tease people to attract them to come back another time? Like, why? Calvin is an idiot. Everybody in this movie is an idiot, just like always. Fuck's sakes. And then we finally get a look at the underwater tunnel and the underwater kingdom, which looks super cool. This was entirely a set. This didn't actually exist in SeaWorld, but it is super fucking cool looking, and I do wish something like this was near me, because it would be so fucking cool to go into. Mike and Kathy are talking by a pool while Kathy feeds a dolphin. They sort of talk about Mike's job offer, and then Mike is called away. Kathy's there feeding the dolphin, and then she overhears on the loudspeaker that the shark is being displayed. So she runs over and she protests, like, what the fuck is going on here? And then, of course, the shark goes belly up. They have this shark in, like, an oversized fucking kiddie pool, is what this looked like. Absolutely ridiculous. Like, Calvin wants people to be so fucking proud of this, and they're like, fucking throw it in a pool in the middle of the aisle here. Like, it's fine. Like, oh my god. No wonder it died. Like, and then everybody's, like, sad afterwards. Like, one of the most iconic moments that a lot of people talk about is, like, when the shark dies, like, you hear the baby cry. And, yeah, like, this was actually a really good fucking scene. It just, again, put it back in the fucking ocean, you stupid twats. Jesus. Yeah, I mean, Kathy tried to save it, but it dies. Now we're back at the underwater kingdom. The visitors are looking out the windows into the water, and then we see Shelby's body float in front of one of the windows. A bunch of people fucking scream. Mike and Kathy go to see the body to make sure it was a shark attack and to make sure it's Shelby. Mike uncovers the body first. He looks at it, he's like, oh yeah, that's Shelby. And then Kathy comes over, and like both of the men there are like, no, you don't need to see this. And like, one, she's a fucking marine biologist. Seeing and studying shark attacks is something she's seen and done before, so it's fine. Like, Mike is the one who is grossed out more than anything, so, oh my god, this is just so stupid. So then Kathy fully uncovers what's left of the body, and like, she freaks the fuck out. Mike is also freaked out. So they immediately start running to go find Calvin and tell him. Calvin gets a phone call. He's at dinner with Fitzroyce and Jack, and he gets a call about one of the filtration pipes, and then he's like, shut one down and turn the other one on, which is what lets the fucking shark in. Because, again, this is a fucking, like, manager that has no idea what they're doing, and are making decisions based on nothing. Am I projecting? Yes. Kathy and Mike find Calvin and tell him and Fitzroy about the massive fucking bite radius. And then she says the shark they captured still had its teeth, so it was a baby. And the shark that killed Shelby was its mother. Now, I have some fucking questions here. How does she know that? Yes, the shark is they say it's a baby, but it's 10 feet long, which is way too long for a quote-unquote baby fucking great white shark. Like, yes, Shelby was killed by a bigger shark, but that doesn't mean they're fucking family. Like, this isn't Fast and Furious. Like, what are you doing? Fuck's sakes. And they can't tell me the shark was born in the park. Because, as I said, this is too big of a shark to be a baby shark. So, like, no, I'm sorry. I don't fucking buy it for one goddamn second. And then, this is when the shark starts swimming past the windows, showing everyone its pearly white fucking teeth. It just stops in front of the windows and it's like, hello. Fuck's sakes. But yeah, now Calvin believes. So he calls and tells someone to seal the park. This whole time while this has been going on, Sean and Kelly have been playing bumper boating this whole time, which looks fun as fucking hell. If you don't know what bumper boating is, or for some reason you haven't seen this movie, first of all, Fix your life. Second of all, bumper boating is like bumper cars, but with little tiny boats. That just sounds so much fucking fun. I've never done it before, and now it's all I want to do after rewatching this movie. They share a boat, and like Sean is super less than enthused about this. We're back with Mike. He steals a golf cart and drives off. Fitzroy and Jack go to the beach and try to get everyone out of the water, but like kind of violently. Like Jack is just like pulling people and like throwing them. I'm just like, dude, like let them run out of the water. It's okay. There's no need for this. Mike jumps on stage where there's water skiers going in the water, and there's a stage on land where they're like, hey, look at this, look at that. So Mike jumps on stage, and he tries to get the water skiers to come in. One of the skiers sees the shark fin. A few of the skiers actually make it to shore. Another group is hunted down by the shark. One girl sees it, freaks the fuck out, ends up knocking everyone else over. I think all of them survive somehow, but, how? Oh, I know how, because next, Sean and Kelly are knocked off their bumper boat, and then Kelly's attacked by the shark. The shark lets her go. Sean swims over as Fitzroy swims her back to shore. So, because it was going after Sean, I guess. That's what I'm going with, because there's no other reason that it shouldn't have eaten all these fucking water skiers if it's this aggressive. Madness. Kathy closes the gate to the lagoon or wherever, even though the dolphins are still out of the gate. I don't fully understand where all of these gates go or don't go. Kathy closes the gate. The dolphins aren't in where they're supposed to be. That's all I know. So Calvin makes an announcement, and he asks all visitors to leave the park. Everyone in the underwater kingdom, follow their guides to the nearest exit. One dude in the tunnel does the thing that one guy always does and says, "What? Where's the nearest exit? We're underwater." Yeah, you're underwater. How did you get there? Did you come in through an entrance, maybe? You fucking idiot. Jesus. One guide is leading a group out, and a little girl spots the shark, and then everyone flips out. She's like, "Daddy, look at the fish." I'm like, "Yeah, that's a big fucking fish." Yeah, everyone flips out, starts running. The shark rams into the tunnel, and then the group gets trapped in a sealed up room. Calvin's assistant, or again, publicist, whoever, is telling the reporter some bullshit story about why the park is closed. Like, oh yeah, one of the tunnels failed, blah, blah, blah. Failing to mention the ginormous 35-foot fucking great white shark, which is like megalodon-sized fucking shark at this point. Fitzroy and Jack plan to go into the filtration tunnel and take care of the shark, while Mike welds the tunnels back up so the people trapped can escape. Calvin and Kathy go to the control room. I think I missed it, but if I remember right, Sean went in the ambulance with Kelly, so he's away and still alive. Jack and Fitzroy get into the tunnel as Mike gets ready to dive down and weld the tunnels. So Jack and Fitzroy start, banging and hitting the side of the filtration pipe to get the shark's attention, and it's working. The shark swims into the filtration tunnel as, Fitzroy's photographs it coming towards him. They close the gate on the tunnel, so now it's trapped inside. But the rope that Fitzroy is using to pull himself lets go. This dude's supposed to be a professional, and his fucking rope comes loose. Oh my god, just tie more than one knot so this shit doesn't happen. This is a life or death situation, and you tied one shitty fucking knot. Oh my god. So Fitzroy ends up in the shark's mouth. As he tries to set off his grenade, but then we see blood coming from the shark's mouth, so he's dead. In the control room, Kathy puts on scuba gear to go watch Mike's back, which does end up being really fucking helpful. Jack gets back to the dock, and they realize Fitzroy isn't back yet, and that he's probably dead, because they look in the tunnel, they don't see anything, so yeah, this is where Jack realizes he's fucking dead. And then the shark shakes its fucking tail feather, trying to break the gate. Spoiler, it does. Yeah, it just waves its fucking fins around and just breaks the gate open. Magic. It's a magic shark. Calvin sees the shark escaping, and he radios for the boat to get Mike back up, but their fucking signal rope isn't working. People and ropes in this movie do not fucking mix, because nobody knows how to use any of this shit, apparently. It's fucking SeaWorld. Like, you would think that the people here would be better with the stuff with the sea and the knots and the fucking scuba and but no. I blame Calvin because he's a shitty fucking boss. So the shark creeps up behind Kathy and Mike. Luckily, Kathy sees it in time. They magically evade this shark, though, because, like, it's so fucking close to them. There's no way that it didn't eat them. Like, no fucking way. Of course, the dolphins come in and interfere, and they piss off the shark, and they even ram into it a few times. Like, they ram into its fucking gills. And again, how does the shark not get the dolphin, like, at least one of the dolphins? I'm, like, don't get me wrong, I'm glad the dolphins live, but, like, realistically, one of them probably should have died. It's like, I don't know. That's just my opinion, though. So, Kathy and Mike swim their way back to the control room. After they get in, Mike tells them the tunnel is sealed, so the trapped group can get out, and they all live happily ever after. And then we get the iconically bad shot of the shark swimming into the glass with the god-awful slow motion, and then the shark comes to a complete stop. Fuck off. Like, it's so bad. As a kid, though, seeing the shark, like, just coming towards the glass was terrifying to me. Like, watching it now, it's funny because it's so fucking bad. But as a kid, like, this was actually one of those shots that scared me. It's so fucking bad. Oh my god. So the shark gets one of the technicians. I really wish it had gotten Calvin, but he actually manages to save, like, one of the other people there, and they escape. Yeah, I'm super surprised Calvin lived, to be honest, because, like, he made a lot of really shitty decisions in this movie, but it's also fine because I do like Lou Gossett Jr., so seeing him survive is fine, I guess. Kathy and Mike put their tanks back on, and they spot Fitzroyce in the shark's mouth, still holding the grenade. Mike uses a metal rod to reach in its mouth and pull the pin. They swim off behind some equipment to safety, and we get blood and viscera from the shark explosion. And then, of course, we get the 3D jaws right in front of the screen. Not the word, like actual shark teeth, like the actual jaws of the shark. Mike and Kathy swim up to the surface, successfully murdering the giant shark. And then Kathy immediately asks about the dolphins, and of course they're fine, and they start doing synchronized swimming around them because they're good dolphins, and they know what happens to bad dolphins if they don't perform at SeaWorld. We freeze frame and roll credits. And that is Jaws 3 in all its three-dimensional glory. Like I said earlier, this was either the first or second Jaws movie that I saw, so it has, like, a special place for me. Again, I can never defend this movie and say it's a good movie to anybody. I do think that if this had not been a Jaws movie and just had been marketed as, like, SeaWorld Shark Attack or SeaWorld Massacre or something like that, it may have been received better and have a more of a cult following, maybe. But I think because Jaws is in the title, that has a lot to do with how people view it. Talking about favorite kill here, like, while we don't actually see much, I found the creepiest kill to be the thieves' death when he's underwater with the flashlight, because I talked about how that scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. Yeah, I don't know, there's just something haunting about that, so I think that's probably my favorite kill in this movie. There's gorier ones where you see blood and whatnot, but I don't know. There's just something about that one that's always, like, stuck in my head. Like, listen, we all know the cons of this movie. The dialogue is terrible. Some of the acting is terrible. But, I mean, pros, it's an interesting concept. I liked the actors. It was Leah Thompson's first feature film, which was great because then we got to see her in Back to the Future, which is all-time childhood favorite of mine. So, very excited about that, seeing her. So, because it's the 40th anniversary, I want to just give some, like, fun trivia I found either on Wikipedia or IMDb. And so the first one up, I mentioned it earlier. Dennis Quaid stated in a 2015 interview that, of all of his films, he made the most aggressive use of cocaine during the filming of Jaws 3D, and that he was high on the drug in every frame in which he appears. Fucking wild. So, yeah, so Dennis Quaid played Mike Brody, in case you didn't know. That's just fucking wild that he's just on coke the whole time. I mean, I guess he was just like, I'm gonna need something to get through this fucking movie, so... but it was also the 80s, so it's not really that surprising, is it? Right? Variety calls it tepid and suggests that Alves fails to linger long enough on the Great White. It has 11% rotten rating at Rotten Tomatoes based on 36 reviews with an average rating of 3.5 out of 10. I have to say, I think that's a little low. I'm going to say that this should be at least a 5 out of 10. I'm not going outrageous. I think it's fun enough that it deserves a 5. But that's just me. This next fact, though, is awesome. So if you didn't know this, Jaws 3 was originally pitched as a spoof based on a suggestion by Matty Simmons and John Hughes, titled National Lampoon's Jaws 3 People Zero. It was about a movie studio trying to make a second sequel to Jaws. It opened up with author Peter Benchley being eaten in his pool by a shark. It included a naked Bo Derek and shark-costumed aliens. Joe Dante was attached as director. Steven Spielberg rejected the idea and threatened to walk from his deal with Universal. When Zanuck, Richard D. Zanuck and David Brown learned of the rejection, they quit the studio. I understand why Spielberg didn't want that to happen. However, reading that fucking description, holy shit, how fucking awesome would that movie have been? Holy fuck. I would have loved to have seen that. Like, are you kidding me? Like, Peter Benchley gets eaten by a shark in his pool. This would have been, like, one of the earliest, like, shark parody movies, really. It's amazing that the movie that they ended up making is actually just more of a parody of itself than anything, but yeah, that's just fucking crazy. And then, for the last and final piece of fun little trivia, in one of the remade shots, when the shark explodes, some of the entrails that fly out of the screen in 3D are actually a brown leather E.T. doll. I just really like that because, I mean, again, Spielberg and also E.T. was just a childhood favorite of mine, so that was just something really cool to read. But that was Jaws 3, directed by Joe Alves, who I believe never directed another movie after this. Oh, poor Joe. But as I mentioned, I might be doing another episode on Jaws 3 just from a different perspective, if you will. But for now, that was Jaws 3. Thank you guys so much for all your love and support. We just reached over 1,000 downloads, so thank you so much for that. As always, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Slasher, all at Bucket of Chum Podcast. Go to bucketofchumpodcast.com for blog updates, donation button, and I will see you guys next time on a brand new episode of Bucket of Chum.